All right, guys, now what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about diet and exercise as a way to control your body composition. And by body composition, what we mean is how much lean mass do you have, how much muscle and bone, versus how much fat mass do you have? Because that's really what a lot of people's goal is with diet and exercise. It's not necessarily to be smaller, like you want to be smaller, or maybe you want to be bigger. But it's much more about, if you want to be bigger, you don't want to be bigger because you have a lot of fat mass. If you want to be smaller, you don't want to be smaller because you've lost a lot of muscle mass. What you want to do is you want to maintain your lean mass or grow your lean mass. And you want to have control over your fat mass so that you feel like you're in control. And that's really the core of what we're looking at. Because I always like to remind people that diet is die with a T. So this is not something that we want to do in a way, anything other than just as a way that we feel like we have control. Because if you feel like you have control, that is an effective diet. And when we say diet, that is not just a regime that we're going to do for a short period of time. What it is that's the diet that we're going to keep us healthy, to keep us active, to keep us lively for a long time. All right, so by the end of this series of videos, you should be able to define basal metabolic rate and estimate your own basal metabolic rate. So basal metabolic rate is how many calories you need just to do the basic things, to stay warm, to maintain your stomach and your heart and your breathing and all of these things. Describe the difficulties in exercising to lose fat. So if somebody comes to me, and lots of people have, I want to lose fat from my belly. There's nothing I can do for you there. I can tell you to pick your parents wisely because I didn't do that, and I'm always going to have fat in my belly. The second thing I can tell you is the first place that fat goes when you're going from your leanest to your most fit, the first place it goes at that point is also the last place it leaves when you're getting lean again. All right. So if the first place your fat went was your stomach, that's the last place it's going to lead. So it's going to be that you have to control it overall. You can't lose fat in a specific region, either by exercise or by diet. Okay. Sorry. Describe the relationship between exercise intensity and fat use. Basically, the harder you work, the less fat you use during the exercise. Provide evidence that long-term energy deficits don't drop your body fat. State the relationship between protein intake and body composition. So how does protein intake compare or relate to how much muscle mass you have? State the amount of protein that you should consume for your body weight, and explain how to build a diet. And I'm sorry to do this, but one of the big things you're going to learn is that your mom was right. Most of the things your mom told you to do, to sit up straight, to chew your food, to always have a glass of milk before bed, those actually work, and I'll show you that. All right, so what is basal metabolic rate? It's the rate that your body uses energy in order to do your vital functions, to think, to keep warm, to breathe, to have your heart beating, to do all of these activities that we would normally do, that we have to do to remain alive. So we have to regulate our body temperature. We have to have brain activity. We have to have our heart contracting and relaxing between 50 and 75 times a minute. We have to be able to inhale and exhale 8 to 10 times a minute. All of those things make up your basal metabolic rate. You do them when you're asleep. You do them when you're awake. You do them throughout the day, and you don't even have to think about it. That's your basal metabolic rate. That's actually going to be the majority of the calories that you need during the day. And how many calories is that? Well, I want you to do this right now. You're going to type the URL right here into your browser. You're going to enter your weight, your sex, your height, and your age. And you can use whatever units you want to use. Then hit calculate, and then you're going to come up with a number, and that number below is going to be an estimate as to what the number of calories that you need for your basal metabolic rate is. All right, and that's going to take up about 80% of the calories throughout your day. So that's going to give you an estimate as to what your 80% of your caloric need is. And that's going to give us a good starting point for how much do you need to eat through a day.